Hey guys, welcome back to the workbench. I've got something particularly interesting for you today. If you've ever been involved in the controversy that is the secondary and final filters on a multi-fuel engine and how they actually filter. Many people can't seem to figure it out, and I kind of want to walk you through it today because it really is simple and there's no need for all the misinformation that's involved with it. The main controversy with them is the best filter that you can get, because they're a canister style, is down to about a 6 micron element. And that really is not on par with the filtration abilities that we have today. So what I want to do is show you the actual fuel path, because that's always a sticking point for people, and insofar as people can't seem to agree on whether they are in series or in parallel, and I'll get to that in a minute. And the other is whether 6 microns is enough or not. Now, in practice, it seems to have been. In fact, the military only used a 10 micron element. Now, you know, being a diesel fuel injection system, obviously the better filtration you have, the longer the components are going to last, up to a point. Nothing lasts forever. They all wear, and with today's modern fuels, it is harder on the older stuff regardless. Honestly, American Bosch, they called for, I want to say, a 3 micron filter for their injection pump from the very beginning. Now the military said, no, we're not going to do that. They ran a 10 micron and they replaced injection pumps left and right. But now, I wasn't around during the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. Well, I mean, I was around in the 80s, but not doing this. They replaced a lot of pumps. And I don't know if it was because the hydraulic heads were wearing out or because they were having other failures. Me seeing what I've seen today, that even when trucks are running on a regular basis, the hydraulic head buttons fall off. I think that was probably the main cause for most of the injection pumps being changed. I don't think it was from hydraulic head wear and service. Now, could there have been other issues, you know, governor springs breaking and stuff? Yes, we've seen, hell, I've seen a lot of that as well. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with age, it's just time in service or run time. So hydraulic head wearing out is a fairly uncommon thing, even when people are still running just a regular 10 or 6 micron elements. Now you can get down to, with spin-on filters, a 1 or even a 2 micron, and I mean, I ran that on my truck with the a secondary and final filter base that I had built assembly for a while, and it never was detrimental. I didn't have more clogging issues or anything, and obviously my pump didn't wear out, and the engines wore out before the pumps did. So that is that. I mean, it's not going to hurt you running a better filter. If you want to get your spin-on conversions and run a 1, 2, 3, 5 micron, whatever you want to run, you know, absolutely do it. There's no point in not doing it, but I will caution you, stick with the 3 filter system. You want your primary, a secondary, and a final. And as you can see here, it's even labeled secondary and final, which is cool. The reason for that is you want a good split. You don't want one filter catching so much that it clogs up too soon. All right, say you've got a 2 filter system and you're running, in your primary filter, you're running a 10 micron, and then your final filter, you're running a 2 micron. That's going to clog up a lot faster than a 3-micron system, because you're going to be catching all of the 10 micron and larger shit with the 10 micron filter, and only the stuff that's smaller than 10 micron is going to get passed to the 2 micron filter. Now if you run a 3 filter system, say a 15 micron and then an 8 micron and then a 2 micron or a 5 micron, then it's going to split, it's going to stratify that better. So you're not going to be catching as much stuff with each filter. So you're going to increase your filter lifespan overall. You're going to have to service it less. So my suggestion is stick with 3. Other people run 2 filters, they run just one final filter on the side of the motor, and they have success, but I guarantee you those people don't drive those trucks as much as I have and as much as some other people do. The military did a 3-filter system for a reason, and even some commercial trucks do. Now, yes, there are some common everyday commercial trucks that only use 1 filter. I understand that. There's some that only use 2. Whatever. Every manufacturer is a little bit different, but in my experience, best to stick with a 3 micron, especially if you got a shitty old nasty rusty tank. So let's move on from this. I think I've beaten this horse into a pulp enough. The fuel path. A lot of people will tell you that they only ran a 10 micron secondary and a 10 micron final, both the same in the military, because they're run in parallel, which is the fuel flowing just the same through both of them and out on one circuit. This is incorrect. The fuel flows through these filters, the stock filter system, in series. And the reason, and I'm going to show you this in a minute, and the reason they did that is because cartridge style filters, especially at that time, were horribly inefficient. They don't trap as much as they should. So when you're talking about your final filtration stage between your tank and your injection pump, you want to trap as much as possible. So you know that because of poor efficiency, your secondary filter is not going to catch all of the 10 micron particles. So you want to run a second 10 micron filter after that to make sure you catch the ones the secondary filter didn't. Now, when I converted mine to spin-ons, I built my base. I used 2 different single filter bases. I ran a 5 micron as my secondary and a 2 micron as my final. And that is because spin-on filters are a whole lot more efficient. They can catch 99 point something or other percent of what they're rated for. So you're not going to have enough get past this one that it's going to clog this one up faster if you're running spin-ons. So let me show you the fuel path to back this up, to validate my statement here. Now on this base, you see you've got one rail here. And this is why people think that these things run in parallel. They don't. But that's why they think they do. Your fuel inlet is here, and it's marked in. It comes in, and you've got a check valve here, a pressure relief valve. So if your filters in here clog, either one of these filters, the check valve or pressure relief valve right here will open, and it will exhaust excess fuel into your return line system right here, which coming off of right here would go straight back to your fuel tank. So not worrying about this, that's just a short explanation of what that is. We'll turn this over and we'll show you where the fuel goes. Now, the fuel comes in here, and it comes into the filter housing right here. This hole is for your pressure relief. So what it does is it comes in through here, and it goes through your filter element into the center, and then it goes up into your center rail here. Okay, now got the plug out here, but travels across here, and here's your bleed screw, so you can bleed air out if you need to. And then what it does is it comes over and it comes in right here through this hole. And what does that do? It comes out and back to the outside of the filter element, and then up through the center and out right here to your out port. So if these were run parallel. What you would have to have is you would have to have your fuel inlet, and you would have to have a second rail that traversed both filter bases, and you'd have to have the second rail for the outlet, because you need to travel in and out both filters at the same time for a parallel system. So I do hope that is easy for you to follow and understand. I really get tired of seeing the misinformation about it out there for so long and so often, when it's such a simple thing to see. I mean, even just looking at it from the top, I mean, you should be able to tell that. And I understand it would be a little difficult on this half, but over here, it's plain as day. So when you see that, you know. So don't want to drag this out too long. I just wanted to explain that to you. I think I've covered that in a very short and hasty way in another video at some time in the past, but it's very, I did explaining it at the time. So I really wanted to cover it again for you guys and just share that information. So yeah, appreciate you watching, guys. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, share the channel. You know, comment down below if you'd like to ask a question. I'm more than happy to help you. Check out our sponsors, Big Mike's Motor Pool and Rapco Parts. Always info listed in the description below. And if you have not already, please consider checking out our Patreon as well. We'd sure like to have you. And we'll see you next time. Later.